What's shaking, cats and kittens? Rob Lee here for this month's presenting sponsor, Night Owl Gallery. Night Owl Gallery is an intimate, artist-run exhibition space showcasing the original paintings and fine art prints of Beth Ann Wilson. Also, it features curated goods from local artists and craftsmen. You'll be sure to find one-of-a-kind gifts, handcrafted jewelry, home decor items, along with a few vintage treasures. Located in the rear of 248 South Conklin Street in Highlandtown, across from Sally O's, Night Owl Gallery is a unique space that brings together Wilson's love of the arts, community, and culture. Additionally, Night Owl Gallery hosts an array of arts and crafts workshops throughout the year and participates in community events, many of which are free and open to the public. So in this ever-changing world, safety is their priority. So feel free to join them and hit them up online at www.nightowl.gallery. Tell them Rob Lee sent you. Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I'm your host, Rob Lee, and this is on MTR Podcast. So today, I'm interviewing a rock star convention DJ who doesn't shy away from entertaining the nerdy masses. Please welcome DJ Awesomus Prime.
Oh, yeah. I wish I had my thing queued up. My name is Awesomus Prime. That's funny.
Yeah, I tried to get it in there. I'm not that savvy. I have a stream deck here that I've not programmed yet. So
that's all right. You know, it's funny. I don't even have it set up for like my own Twitch stream. I don't even use it. I have a plethora of other sounds, and I don't even use my own, like tag.
So thank you for hopping on this. And totally. I came across you, became aware of you from BlurredCon. I went there with my fellas, my man D from the illustrious Co-Play Media. They're a nerdy, blurdy podcast in DC. Right. And I just, as I put it, when I was talking with my partner, I was like, Awesomus Prime's energy is unmatched.
Thank you. That is definitely something that I strive to deliver with every performance. Doesn't matter how much energy drinks I've had or not that day. I try to make sure it comes across. So that I am glad. Thank you.
So totally. For those who are uninitiated, I like to start off by getting some background on the guest and kind of, maybe bring some new people, some new ears to what you're doing, and maybe get another opportunity to put your story out there. So, if you will, describe your background. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get started? And all of that good stuff.
Oh man, so you want the nitty gritty? All right, I got you.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
So I'm actually a military brat. My father was in the Marine Corps for about 6 years. Retired from that, and then decided civilian life was too hard, and then jumped in the Army.
Wow.
So since the moment I was born, I was a military kid, moved around all over the place. I've lived in North Carolina, Virginia, New Jersey, Utah, where else? Everywhere, Pennsylvania. I've been all over the place. And kind of grew up with music, really. And I guess the biggest part of it is I am Puerto Rican.
Gotcha. So
a big part of, our culture definitely is our music. And I definitely grew up with, a lot of pop and like punk rock in the house, which is a little wild, a lot of new wave. Kind of grew up with a lot of new wave. But I always kind of had this like bug to do music. I've always been interested in music. I started singing at a very early age. I picked up the clarinet for a while, played saxophone, bass clarinets. I tried my hand at oboe. That sucker defeated the crap out of me. Double reed instruments and me are not friends. In high school, I wanted to be one of the cool kids because everybody wanted to learn how to play guitar and be like, the rock star. Because, when you're a rock star, you get all the girls or whatever. So that was kind of the angle that I went there. But then I also picked up drum set as well as electric bass. I slap a little. I'm trying to get better at it. So music has kind of always been a big part of my life, from every aspect to being professionally trained, in school, as well as, teaching myself how to play some instruments. Cause I even played like tin whistle, like Irish tin whistle. Mm-hmm. There's a big spot in my heart. I love like Irish, like traditional music, a lot of the fiddle and flute stuff. I really, really love that. It's one of those weird things that people don't know about me. I thoroughly enjoy that, which I think, kind of my passion for loving different types of music have definitely influenced how I make music and how I DJ music. I guess let's kind of fast forward. I was in a couple bands when we were in Colorado. some pop punk stuff. I had a nerdy pop punk band called About to Explode. I'm sad that it never really took off. And I was also in like a worship band.
Okay.
It was kind of a duo. It was really cool. I'm not entirely like a religious person, but it was a very positive message, and that's always been my thing. So I was on board. I was ready for it. I played guitar for that, djembe and like tambourine and stuff. We used to do a lot of acoustic acts. But I've always kind of wanted to DJ. I was always interested in it. I always liked the idea of becoming a DJ and being able to manipulate music and kind of do something fun and different for people to kind of experience. And I finally kind of picked it up. I'm fairly new to it, believe it or not. I didn't start DJing until like 2013.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of picked it up and kind of just ran with it. Got pretty good. Kept going. I finally got my first gig probably in like 2014, like the summer of 2014. Yeah. I was at a local bar during happy hour. They let me come through. I DJ'd, I think, for like an hour or two, and then that was it. Then the real DJ showed up. The whole reason I kind of picked up DJing was specifically because trying to form a band, which is something, we all kind of strive to do, whoever wants to do that, it's always kind of difficult to find people of like mind to kind of come together and make that happen. So there was a point in my musical career, I guess. I did try my hand at nerdcore hip hop.
Yeah.
So I'm not the greatest MC in the world. I can honestly say that. I'm not a huge. I love rap. Don't get me wrong. Like one of my biggest influences is Outkast, which they just dropped that new album not too long ago, old album. AT Aliens, but it's the like extended edition, which it's really good. I finally got to listen to it. Nice. But yeah, so that kind of made me want to kind of do some solo stuff, because the nerdcore hip hop was cool and everything, but I felt that I wasn't really equipped to kind of deliver the type of quality music that I wanted to deliver. And then I picked up DJing, and then in turn from there became a producer, and now I make my own EDM and hip hop beats and all that stuff.
So I want to step back because, like I said, BlurCon was how that connection happened. So if you will, I've had a hard time trying to explain this to folks, maybe because of my accent, maybe because I have a lisp, but it gets out of hand a little bit. Define to the folks what a blurred is.
Blurred. I guess the simple answer is blurred. It comes from the term black nerd. They kind of mush the two words together. But what exactly is a blurred? I kind of feel a blurred is almost a culmination of nerd culture and urban culture. Mm-hmm. At least that's kind of how it's evolved, is what I've noticed. So that's kind of like the biggest thing that I can honestly tell people is it's that, because obviously everybody has the opportunity to be in love with anime and video games and comic books and science fiction, fantasy, tabletop gaming, all that stuff. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, how you identify it. Everybody is allowed to enjoy those things. And I think the reason blurred became such a big thing is because there is definitely a severe lack of representation in those mediums for black and brown people. Yeah. I mean, heck, even Hispanics. Like we I actually had somebody pose this question to me a while ago. Name me, a Hispanic like superhero, like one of the like from DC or Marvel, and they exist, but they're very few.
Yeah, one of the bits I had, I forget who I was talking to about it. Maybe a friend. We were talking about podcast. Actually, it was Kumasi Barnett, who's a great artist. He's a painter, and he kind of just takes those old comic book covers and kind of has a little conversation about certain issues that are happening, like systemic racism and such. Mm-hmm. So the amazing black man and white devil and all that good stuff. And I was doing this thing. I was like, there's a lot of dusty comic characters, black characters, for sake of argument, that have the black whatever their power is as their name. All of them. And it's kind of whack, actually.
It happens too, because I mean, like Black Lightning. Okay, cool, we got it. He's a black guy. Cool. Black Falcon. All right, cool, we get it. He's a black guy. Hell, even Black Panther. That one kind of kills me because it could be because the character was black or because the animal itself is a Black Panther. So I'm like,
it's almost repetitive too. It's like Panther is all right. Like, that's their color,
right? Like you guys were sneaky with that one.
Striped tiger.
Right.
So in that, like, so seeing, because the nerdcore like music and the DJing and that kind of, how did you get into that niche? Like, I know I want to do this, and I know you touched on it, but like getting into, I guess, the convention scene, that's kind of where I'm going at with it. How did you get into that space?
So it's really funny. I have a lot of people always ask me, you know, how do I do what you do? Like, how do I become like, you know, a convention DJ? Because I consider myself a convention DJ. It is the main source of DJing that I do. And it was almost kind of a fluke, I guess. I happened to just start looking for conventions kind of in my area to reach out to. The first one that actually kind of accepted my offer was Nerdtino, the Nerdtino Expo in Philly. It is a convention dedicated to Hispanic and Latinx people within the industry of just nerd, because it's everything. It's movie creators and authors alongside your video game creators, your anime, you know, voice actors, and all that stuff. So it's a really, really cool show. And they were like, hey, you know, come on out and DJ. And I was kind of just trying to do like an after party for them or something like that. Instead, what wound up happening is I DJ'd the entire convention like in the vendor hall. And ever since then, I've been a part of their show for the past 3 years. And then from there, I was kind of like, oh, I guess it really just kind of takes just emailing somebody, calling somebody, reaching out. So the next show that I did was New Jersey GamerCon. And then from there, I realized that all you really have to do is kind of like look for the shows, especially look at your favorite shows, and just reach out. And a lot of times, a lot of these shows actually have, especially for you DJs out there, there actually is a DJ application for the dances or after parties that these events, you know, have. So fill out that application, give them all the information that they're asking for, sell yourself the best way that you possibly can, and kind of go from there. So that's really kind of how it started. I think for me personally, though, because I started doing things very differently than everybody else, is kind of why I've seen the growth that I have. Kind of going back to the niche thing, I didn't know what nerdcore hip hop was until about 2007.
Yeah.
I had met MC Lars actually back in like 2004, before anybody was really using nerdcore hip hop as like a broad term. And I met him again in 2007, excuse me. It was him, Whitey Cracker, Frontalot, and former Fat Boys, which is what he goes by. And that kind of like opened my whole world to this type of music. I was like, wait, there's music out there that's literally designed to like just aim for nerdy people. Like, because the cool thing with nerdcore hip hop is not only does it touch base on like anime themes or comic book themes, but also just being a nerdy person, especially, you know, some of us old heads that grew up being made fun of because being a nerd wasn't cool. Now it's like, if you're not a nerd, you're wrong. So the niche thing kind of came to me because a lot of these conventions kind of offer, you know, a great EDM experience for people, a lot of these crazy dances and stuff. But I kind of feel like if you're going to a convention, which is for nerdy things, why not, I don't know, have nerdy music? Yeah. You know, so that was kind of like my whole thought. And I was like, all right, well, let me try this. So I went deep diving and built a very solid library of pretty much just nerdy remixes from everything I could possibly think of. You know, from Rick and Morty to the Backyardigans. Like, I mean, I've got a plethora of just crazy stuff. And I think that's what has set me apart. Yeah. Definitely. So this is the niche thing kind of came because I saw that it made no sense to me that we're at a convention, we're having like an EDM concert, but it's like a regular like warehouse party, which yes, I get that they're experienced. Like that's something you want to experience out there with the glow sticks and, you know, doing all the crazy stuff and the outfits, and please, by all means do it. But why not have that same type of experience with the music for the thing that you're already there to do already, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of how that happened.
I'll say, I've like gotten into going to conventions over the last few years due to that connection with my peer from Coplay, and gone to BlurCon twice, which is my favorite, and I'm saying that in a unabashed but very pluggish way. And AwesomeCon a few times, and Baltimore Con, and Anime Expo. Anime Expo was fire in LA, and those things are really good, and they each has its different flavor. And you run into the people, you run into your tribe, and so, I've been spreading the gospel of this is BlurCon, you should check it out. And I've had my selling point is the experience I had when I first went there was I was in the elevator with a dude. I never met him before. He was wearing some anime mask. I had a t-shirt on of some cartoon, and he offered me Hennessy. And I was like, this is great. I've never been offered elevator Hennessy. This is amazing. And I say it's like an HBCU reunion, but with nerds. That's the way I describe it.
BlurCon is an amazing experience, and I always try to tell people, like, if you've never been to BlurCon, you haven't experienced BlurCon. Like, it just, because you can go to every anime convention, around the country, and you kind of know what you're going to get into. You're going to see tons of cosplay. You're going to get to meet some voice actors. You're going to see some interesting panels that are all about anime. You're going to get to see what's coming out, talk to some industry leaders, stuff like that, get, cute plushies, whatever. You go to BlurCon. BlurCon is not really a convention, in my opinion. It is an experience.
Yes.
I have been twice. I hope they ask me to come back until they decide to either close their doors or I am in the ground. Like, it's BlurCon is the coolest thing. Kind of like how you were talking about with being offered, elevator Hennessy. I mean, I've had people bring me, presence, we'll say, just kind of being just among, the people just there, just kind of being there, vibing with everybody. And it's great because I kind of feel like a lot of times we as very sexy melanated people sometimes are even ousted from our own communities because of the things that we like. And this place allows for you to literally just fly your nerd flag as high as you want, as loud and proud as you want. It is the coolest thing. And I think one of the biggest amazing things about it too is the cosplay, because we all know that there's this wild stigma with characters being cosplayed by Black people or other melanated people, and there's always this backlash. Well, that character's not Black. Cool. If it's an anime character, guess what? They're not white either. Right. Get off my back. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it, but it's cool because BlurCon allows you to cosplay in this, like, how do I want to word this worry-free zone, this completely amazing accepted area, because everybody is, there to have a good time with no judgment, none at all. It's amazing.
That's the thing that's really good about it. And yeah, it's like I've encountered people who, like, especially this year, because I go as press, and the last, like, this was most recently was my second one, and this one, it was 3 other podcasts that I met that I know from, like, just in the circle. I was like, oh, you made it. Oh, you came from Chicago. Oh, you came from LA. This is great. And just kind of doing my thing, running into them. Hey, good to see you again. And being able to connect with people such as yourself. And even chatting with, like, Roxy Hayes. I was like, oh, I was able to interview you and able to get these different things. And it's all under the guise of, we're just here because we're unified and enjoying this. Let's connect. That's how it goes.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned Roxy Hayes. So I've been a fan of Roxy for a bit now. And it's funny because I didn't even recognize her the first day, because I was actually DJing kind of right in the arcade. And she was in Chun-Li cosplay.
Yeah, she was.
And was twerking like nobody's business. And we were having a blast. We were having a good old time. And it didn't click in my brain that that's who that was. But it made for a good moment, because when I DJ'd the cosplay contest, I was kind of just DJing before we were all set up and ready to go, just getting the crowd hype, having a good time, doing what I do. I invited her to come up on stage and to just go crazy. So there's a fun video out there of the two of us twerking together, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, this is amazing. So that's kind of one of those fun dream come true. So shout out to Roxy Hayes, y'all.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's one of those things that you would get there. Like, you would only get in that environment and that experience, that real uncontrived version of that. And usually I look at destinations in that way. Like if I'm going to New Orleans, I need to have a po' boy and hear some jazz. And or for instance, when I was down there a couple of years back and there was just random party and then Back That Ass came on, Back That Ass Up came on, and then the outside and the inside converged, and it was just like kind of a second line setup. And I was like, wow, this is the true real. It's like I experienced that right there.
Yes.
Describe, and you touched on it, but what would you say the biggest or some of the bigger differences between DJing conventions versus other like events and shows, maybe in terms of music choices, obviously, because you have that really great catalog you were describing, but also maybe in terms of kind of like how long you may be doing the set or just kind of like what the energy level looks like, things like that.
Right. So depending on the convention, the typical DJ set's usually about an hour per DJ, unless because I have in the past been invited out to throw the entire like all night dance. So if the dance is scheduled for 3.5 hours, Awesomus Prime's going on for 3.5 hours.
Oh yeah.
Where most venues, especially if we're doing your bars and nightclubs, kind of your typical nightlife scene, it's usually an all night affair. I've DJ'd anywhere from like 2 hours at the minimum to 6 or 7.
Wow.
Which is kind of intense. I DJ'd for almost 12 hours at one event. It was an after hours spot. It was really cool because they actually invited me to come on out to DJ for them. And the other DJ that was supposed to show up never showed up. I still have no idea.
Keep it rolling.
I had no idea what happened to the DJ still, but yeah, we just kept it going, man. And this place was cool because we literally would party until nobody was there anymore. That was kind of their rule. It was legit an after hour spot. So, I mean, I DJ'd pretty much from like 10 o'clock that night till 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we watched the sun come up, man. Like, it was wild.
DJ scrambled eggs.
I have no idea how I had that much music. But yeah, so that's kind of the difference as far as time frame. As far as, I guess, the difference of doing each one, I can do both. I enjoy doing both, but I prefer conventions or nerdy events because those are my people. I guess that's kind of the easier answer. But I have more fun doing them just because one of the things that I like to do is I like to play these remixes that kind of take you by surprise. And I always like to watch people's faces when they realize what the song is. It's like my favorite game. So oh my God, I love it so much. And it's different because I'm always received more warmly from like the nerd scene, because I am a performer. So in that instances, I am a performer. I'm an invited musical guest. I'm an act that's there to provide this amazing music, entertainment for everybody. So when I get off stage, people want to like high five me or give me hugs. People want to come by the merch table and say hey, get autograph pictures and all that stuff. I don't get to do that stuff when I DJ at a nightclub because I'm just the DJ for that. Right. That's not what they're looking for. I'm just there to offer service, get my paycheck, and most times DJs are like, cool, bet, and then they just check out. That's it, Yeah. So that is a major difference.
That makes a lot of sense. Because like I remember because we were leaving, I think that day. We didn't stay on the Sunday, but just when my girl and her kid got there, and he marked out. And I was just really happy that he was able to come out and check this stuff out. He saw some dude with a really fire like JoJo costume. He just got a JoJo tattoo on his leg, so he like marked out. And then the next thing was going to DJ, and I think it was the cosplay contest. Mm-hmm. And my girl and him were like, "Who's the guy? Who's the big guy on stage like going off?" I was like, "Oh, that's the super DJ right there." And it was like, "This is great." It's like he's a little brown. He's like, he's one of our people. That was what the energy was. And right. And it was just great. And it felt like, I think, an extension of what the Murray couple says, like, you guys are like a family. And that's the thing. Like, it's definitely that. And you see people that you've been around. So what you said makes a lot of sense.
Right. You feel that at BlurredCon. Like it's cool. Cause it's like you walk through the door of the hotel and it's like you're home. Mm-hmm. And that's what it felt like going back this year. Because I was very sad. I mean, we all were the way 2020 kind of worked out, but the fact that they were able to actually still hold their event here in 2021 was a little stressed out trying to get down there. My car actually broke down that like night before, and I had to figure out how the heck I was getting down there. So a buddy of mine who was coming with me anyway was like, you know what, we could take my car, we'll make it out there.
Yeah.
So good luck on my boy. That's King Pac-Man. I'll give him a shout out. Project Grindhouse is his crew. He's actually the dancer that I brought with me. I don't know. He wasn't on stage with me for the cosplay contest, but for the Saturday night dance, me and him were rocking out. He's a crumper. He's freaking amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, it's, you walk through that door, man, and it was just kind of like, oh man, I'm home. Like I didn't realize how much I missed this convention, you know? So, like I said in the beginning, I'll go to that convention until they tell me not to, or I can't no more.
So I want to talk about a few more things before we wrap up here.
Sure.
I'll frame it this way to go back into the nerd culture a moment. What would you say your earliest moment that you realized, like, all right, this is my thing? You know, like, what was it like watching like Thundercats in the mid 80s? Was it like watching Transformers? And maybe there's another question about that later. But what was that early seminal kind of nerdy experience that like just grabbed you and it buried in like a tick?
You know, it's funny. I can tell you like the earliest like nerd things that I was really into as a kid. But to answer the question, actually, the way that you phrased it, what was the first time that I kind of realized that I was a nerd? This is my thing. Yeah. I'm going to say high school. I wanted to say middle school, but I think because there's a level of like acceptance of being younger, watching, you know, these things that is just, you know, oh, they'll grow out of it kind of like, you know, idea. I think it's once I was in high school and I realized that I wasn't growing out of it. I think it was then, because like Toonami was God. You know, I used to come home from school and rush in, and I kid you not, I have on VHS, by the way, this is how ancient I am. I recorded every single episode of Sailor Moon, Tenchi Muyo, and Tenchin Universe and Tenchi Tokyo. Nice. And what was the other one? There's 3 that I like had to make sure I recorded. I want to say it was Gundam Wing. It more than likely, because I love Gundam, but I'm kind of a diehard Gundam Wing fan. But yeah, like when the animes that they would announce and like the shows and like getting into like Samurai Jack, like I'm still into Powerpuff Girls, my dude. Like I love Powerpuff Girls. Oh yeah. So it was kind of just one of those things that I realized that I thoroughly enjoy these types of stories, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop enjoying these types of stories. And I'm glad that I didn't. I'm definitely the kind of person I'll see like what's marketed as like a children's movie coming out in theaters, and I'm like, nope, we're gonna go see that. You know, I'm still into Pokemon. I've been into Pokemon since Red and Blue came out.
Yeah, we have to be around the same age, because what you're describing is very similar. It's like I was going through my old Pokemon book earlier, the yellow joint that had like Pikachu on there, and I was like, I still have these? I was like, oh shit. Like why do I still have these? I was like, this is great.
That's funny. You know, so it's cool. I'm not going to tell you the exact year, but you guys can figure it out. Big part of the reason why Awesomus Prime is my name, obviously from a Transformers reference. Optimus Prime is my dude. He and I came out the same year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's about right. Yeah, we're about the same age. So what are 3 things that, you know, when you're going through and compiling your music, like talk about that process a little bit and coming up with like, let me check here, let me grab this, let me sample this. But when you're doing that, when you're coming up with your process, what are those things that you need to kind of get in that space to be creative? Because I feel like everyone needs something. Like I might need only green M&Ms.
Right.
Now. But what is that thing that you might need to kind of get in that space where you want to create, you want to get into, you know, to your mode?
For me, a big part of it is kind of the desire or the like the unstoppable force to want to work on something. Because a lot of times, like I'll get an itch. I'm like, man, I just want to create something. Like I gotta do something. I gotta like almost like putting pen to paper, kind of, you know, same concept. So that's a big part of it. Kind of a fun one. It doesn't happen all the time, but I try my best to have a good like craft beer. I'm a big fan of like IPAs and like local beers and stuff. So I like to try to have, you know, a nice ice cold like IPA when I'm kind of trying to put my process together. So that's kind of like my green M&Ms, I guess, if you will. So definitely like the desire to want to do it. I'll say IPA, and I don't know. You know, it's funny. I feel like I had an answer for a question like this that I always try to keep in the back of my mind in case somebody asks me, and I can't remember like what the last one is. It was good. In love, the love. Actually, no. You know what? That's actually an answer. The love of doing something that you know you want to do. Like you love doing this, because I feel like a lot of times, sometimes people decide to do things or start projects or work on something because of the dollar signs in their eyes.
Yes,
and a lot of times those projects don't work out, or they don't, you know, fully get to kind of come to a realization. Sometimes they're never completed, or they're completed and then you're excited because you think the product that you created is going to make you tons and tons of money, and then it doesn't, you know, especially in music. Like being an independent artist, I can honestly tell you, like the pay's not the greatest. You'll probably come out of pocket for a good majority of it. Excuse me. It doesn't mean that you won't make money. Like, I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I'm never saying that you won't make money from your music, but there's definitely a lot of steps and a lot of necessary things to follow in order to do that. So hence why I started my own record label this year, kind of to help kind of give me a little bit more of that oomph, that push. And it has actually helped me kind of almost like I tricked my mind, because now it's not like if I don't work on something or don't put something out, not only am I like letting myself down, I'm also letting like the record label down, but then I'm also letting down like my fans. Yeah. So that's, you know, kind of something, but yeah, the love of doing something, you gotta love what you do. 'Cause if there's no passion behind it, it's going to show. I mean, I've got songs that I just tried to slap together because I tried to do like a WAP Jersey Club remix. This thing defeated me so bad, so that's why it's never seen the light of day. It probably never will. But go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. That piece where you need to have that passion, you need to have the desire to do something. Like, you know, generally what I do on this podcast, I try to interview artists and creatives that are in Baltimore mostly, but in this region. So, you know, interacted with you in DMV. So boom, here we go.
Absolutely.
And I will say, in the different entrepreneurs, these entrepreneurs, if you will, that portmanteau, where it's mostly, I hear it from chefs, where you don't get into that industry to say, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money.
Right.
But those plates got to come out on point. Like you have to have a standard and a passion around it. And if you're like saying, you know what, this pasta is not going to be al dente, then now you have a reputation that doesn't really, you know, it's not indicative of what your skill set is and what your background is. So yeah, that last one is very well crafted and presented, because passion is a key thing. And even what I do, you don't make money from podcasting. You know, I don't, you know, there's like 3 podcasts that make money and the rest of them are fronted.
Right.
You know, we know how these things go, and people try to come up with a formula and so on, but really you're going to be coming out of pocket in terms of merchandise, artwork, like what's behind me and things like that. But really, I do this because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people who are doing something and it's like, maybe I learn something, maybe the audience learns something, maybe the guests learn something.
Right. Absolutely.
That's important. I think those types of communications, especially coming out of the last year and change, is definitely important, because you can't do it the same way that you used to. That thing changes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Here's the last question. I thought about this when I was in Rhode Island a few weeks ago.
Okay, what you got?
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, what's the better song? The Touch, Dare to Be Stupid, or What I've Done?
Ooh. You know, it's funny. I was gonna go with the Weird Al one.
Oh, really?
But you said What I've Done from Linkin Park.
Yeah, I had to throw that curveball in there for you.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with that one only because Linkin Park kind of spoke to me as a youngin, you know, back in the day, listening to Linkin Park. It's funny, me and my friends noticed something about Linkin Park. They made like severely angsty music without even, I think, realizing it, because it was so vague in what the message was when you were younger. So you could kind of apply that to anything, that any struggle you had as a kid, like, you know, you forgot your lunch money. What I've So, but yeah, no, what I've done, because to end the first Transformers movie with that song, man, and that little piano when it comes in right at the beginning, oh man, that's definitely the answer.
It's like it just turns into the Transformers song too. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, it was so. Oh my god, yeah, that one. Oh, I'm going with that one. That was a good way. Plus, Chester Bennington, rest in peace. Like I'm still a little torn up over that one, but him and Mike Shinoda and the rest of the group have definitely been a big influence on, I guess, just me as an artist, because they did something different. Mm-hmm. They brought something severely different to the table, even though there were other bands that were doing this like hard rock / metal fusion with hip hop. Nobody did it like Linkin Park. I still don't think anybody has even come close to creating something that beautiful, because not only was it extremely well crafted, but it was very artistic. It was extremely poetic. You could definitely feel that it came from the heart. It came with a lot of soul. Mm-hmm. Like everything they did, even their fun songs, like there was always something very, very big. And I got to, big shout out to when they released Meteora, they finally kind of were just like, oh yeah, also, by the way, we're a bunch of anime guys, Here you go. Here's your Gundams and ninjas and, kind of doing this like Animatrix style music video and stuff. So, that kind of solidified them as, I guess, probably, well, they are one of my all time favorite bands. Like I can't say that they're not, there's no way.
I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for you to make that connection. and Breaking the Habit was done by the dude that did the animation for Kill Bill.
That's right. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh,
yeah, I love that video. So that's all I have. So what I like to always offer up for the guest is the opportunity to shamelessly plug website, all of that good stuff. So chime us in, hit us up, let us know.
Absolutely. The easiest way to find me is DJ Awesomus Prime at DJ Awesomus Prime on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Those are my big three. I'm also on TikTok. If you really want to follow me on TikTok, by all means. I am planning to use it a lot more. There's a few videos up there now, so by all means, go peer into my personal life. I'm on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJ Awesomus Prime. I'm also on SoundCloud and Mixcloud, DJ Awesomus Prime, if you guys want to hear some of my music, as well as Mixcloud has my mixes. Those are on there. So if you want to kind of hear like what I do when I spin live, that's the best place to find that. I am also on Spotify as Awesomus Prime. Do not put the DJ in front of it. You'll find another version of me that I'm trying to port over currently, actually. So that's kind of been a headache, but it's going to happen. I don't know when this podcast is coming out. Am I allowed to, can I plug something that's coming out in October?
Sure.
So I actually am releasing my next album, October 22nd. It's called Love and Lo-Fi. It's a lo-fi hip hop album. It's like 8 tracks. It's super epic. If you go to my Bandcamp, actually, so there you go, djawesomusprime.bandcamp.com, I believe is what it is. You can actually have a sneak peek of one of the tracks. It's called Mushroom Kingdom Kind of Love. It's a real smooth kind of vibe. It's got a little bit of a bop to it. Wasn't trying to get you guys rocking too much with this one. My goal with this album was kind of to give you something that you can vibe out to after you partied with me all night.
I'm here for it.
You gotta wind down at some point.
So thank you again. This has been great. So for DJ Awesomus Prime, I am Rob Lee, saying that there's art in and around, specifically around this DC, this Baltimore, this DMV area. Mm-hmm. So got to look for it.